Alright, it's Chris over at Dixieland Farm, and today I'm going to be installing a solar fence charger. So, a little backstory here. We've got the gelding pasture and the mare pasture here. Geldings, so they've been... So, two of our horses are in love with the girls. They love the girls. So much so they've become very territorial of them. Don't sniff around my girls, man. So they've been getting at it with each other. One fight resulted in one stitch and stall rest for about a week. And a second fight, he kind of stepped on his own foot and started leaking out joint fluid, which is bad because if infection gets in, you know, goodbye horse, basically. And then another time, one of the guys got onto the other side. Either he jumped over or he went under. And we kind of discovered, well, this electric fence is not holding up. One electric fence that's good for 200 miles is running everything. But the problem is if there's one break, well then from that point on it's broken, right? And back 20 years ago when we started the farm, solar fences were not a thing. Then they were not a good thing, but the technology has matured enough where they're acceptable. What we're going to do is we're going to break this up into 3 sections. So I've got a small charger that I installed earlier in the week here, and it did so well I went ahead and bought a bigger charger. So the bigger charger, you know, is supposed to give more of a shock, and it should help with any weeds or growth that touches the fence, sucks some of the fence life out of it. So I think also that's been our problem, that we haven't so much had a break, but we've had enough growth in the summer here to kind of bring the fence down enough where it didn't bother the horses. So breaking it up into 3 sections should give us that extra oomph. So this will separate them and has worked. We have not had visitors since. So I'm going to swap out this unit. I only drove in one ground rod here, so I'm going to drive in another ground rod. And I'll hook it up, and then we'll put in the other fence. Yay for farming. And also, the top line was actually, there's this stuff called electrobraid. It's actually used electrobraid. We took it from somebody else's farm who was getting rid of their horses, and they're like, here, take the electrobraid, because it's very expensive. It's about $250 a roll for 1,000 feet. So for the bottom line, they kept on breaking the line by putting their head and snapping it and stuff over the years, that I had 9 repairs. So that was 18 split bolts, and those split bolts are expensive too. They're like $3-5 each. So reclaim those, replace that line, and I'm also going to replace the top line on this one just to make sure. I tested with my electric fence tester, and I'm getting a signal all the way through. So it sounds like that the whole way when I use the fence tester. Let's swap this out. And in classic fashion, nothing quite works out the way it should, or as easy as you think, because yeah, this one's taller, so now it doesn't fit. But good news is I left quite a bit of slack in the ground there, so I should just be able to loosen up that nut and pull up the extra slack. All right. And retest it. There we go. So this is on the slower as it charges. It's like every few seconds. We could come up here and change it to the constant pest. So the next thing are the ground rods. 8-foot ground rod, and I use the T-post tool to get these in the ground. I have a electrician friend, and he's got like a gun that kind of like a impact gun, and just in the ground. Wish I had that, but I don't. I just have the T-post, but unfortunately I can't get like the last foot in, so I'll have to come with the Sawzall and chop it off of the ground so that way people don't impale themselves. That post is cemented, so I don't know if I'm just hitting a little bit of cement or a rock, but my hand already chewed up, so that's it. Well, here we are next to the indoor, and this is a great spot to connect that hilly pasture up because the fence is right here. It's out of the way of the horses, and we can still keep an eye on it because we got the riding ring right there. It's amazing. This was all cleaned out when we did the gutters last year, and how quickly it grows back. All right, so let's get the T-post and grounding rod in. Alright everybody, so it's a couple hours later, new shirt, and a story. So after I was done with the ground rod, I got really out of breath and super hot. And I'm like, if I would have tried to talk right then, I wouldn't have been able to. I've done that before where I've like exerted myself so much, I'm like, I couldn't say a word. So Marissa's like asking me, am I okay? And like, so I slowly walk back to the house. I'm still just super hot, so I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go upstairs, go in the shower and just rinse off, and maybe I'll cool down and get my breath back. And when I was in the shower, I'm like, I'm gonna pass out. And so I'm leaning my head against the shower, and I woke up screaming because I had fallen down and bent my leg with the artificial knee, like underneath myself. So, ow. And apparently I cut myself, so see on my nose. And then I managed to get my leg out from underneath me, and I just sat in the shower for a couple of minutes, regained enough energy to stand up and turn off the shower, and stumbled to the bed, and I just lay down. And then about 10-15 minutes later, I was able to get up and then dry off, put clothes on. So, yeah, I think it was just overexertion or heat. I don't think it was a heart attack because my chest never pounded, and not a stroke because obviously I'm talking just fine. I did double check that. I started talking, hello, how are you? And, double checking my mouth. Somebody was down here at the barns, so like an hour or two later I came down. I'm like, am I coherent? Am I talking perfectly fine? Yes? Okay, good. And, explained the situation to them. So, or it was hypoglycemia. Maybe it's low blood sugar. It's possible. So I'm going to take it easy. And of course, now walking around hurts a lot. And second Band-Aid, that's also hurts. Let's go to the back of the property where there's a junction between, one section and another. We don't need the junction anymore, so let's go get rid of it. Alright, so here's where the junction is, and we no longer need it, so I'm going to clip it, though I will connect the 3 wires together. Everything's cleaned up back there. I don't know if you can see. Back to hooking up the ground and hooking up the fence. Okay, the ground wire's hooked up. Fence wire's hooked up. I can certainly hear it clicking. Alright, so I had to redo this section here, so it jumpers over from the fence all the way over there. Jumps here, connects those 3. Also jumps over here, connects that. And hopefully continues on. Sun is making the metal tools very hot, so you put them down for 2 seconds and then you burn your hands. And this thing is starting to hurt pretty good. And of course I don't want to have to pass out again, so. Excellent sign. Alright, I'm inside in the cool. I'm going to change the shirt, clothes again, and take a break because I don't want to pass out again, obviously. Oh, it's another day. I've got a haircut, and I'm home from work today. So I have so much vacation time, I've got to use it. I actually lost some time last year, and I had to take a payout. You're allowed to take like a week of payout. So I have so much accrued vacation, and I've been there so long that, yeah, it's an actual issue. So I'm here on a Wednesday, and I'm doing accounting because I might as well do accounting during the week opposed to having to do it on the weekend and ruin my weekend, right? So anyway, I've got just a little bit left to fix of the fence, but I got an alert on my Google Calendar. Every 3 months I get an alert to change the water filter, so I'm going to do that now. But here's one thing I want to show you you should probably buy if you have to do this job. And that is, buy one of these. So this is like $15. It's a larger metal water filter wrench, which makes removing the water filter just that much easier, opposed to the plastic one that kind of comes with it. And I've actually cracked these before, so yeah, let's go ahead and replace it. It's always so gross when you actually look at the water filter. I mean, it's got just some sediment down here. Ugh. Yeah, that's why you got to do this job. It's the last week before school, I think, so a lot of the kids are here. Even though it's a weekday, Marissa's not here. The ones who have horses are riding, so. I've also got the AC guy coming, because our AC is not putting out as much as I'd like. So I'm going to have them check that. And also our phones are dead. There was a storm that rolled through here yesterday, so I don't know what's going on with that. And another tip is get some Vaseline, and you can put it around the edge of the rim. And that'll make getting this on and off easier, because I've actually had this thing stick and crack off, and I had to buy a new one. So, you know, you got to be careful. So here we go. I just reorder the filters and we're good for another year. You know, another thing I bought on Amazon, I'm like, oh, this seems like a lot of money for what this is this brush here and then this angle attachment, which I put on a pole. So I got gutter guards. I got new gutters installed last year with gutter guards, which are great because I was going to kill myself climbing the roof and trying to clean the gutters, and I don't do it nearly often enough, right? So it still gets covered with pollen. So this is a gutter brush. You see it's got all the little things. So you just, with the pole, you just and take off any remaining leaves, sticks, or pollen. 5 minutes to clean the entire perimeter of the house. And the smell in the house has gotten better because I think all the water's been draining properly out now. So it used to get kind of a musty smell in the living room. And it doesn't anymore, so yay for us. And more farm projects. So the rear tire kept leaking air and ballast, all the liquid that's in it. So the rear tires have a calcium so it doesn't freeze in it, and that gives you weight for the back of the tractor so that way you don't flip over. Very important. And losing the liquid and losing the air all the time, not good. So took the tire off yesterday. Wasn't the easiest thing to do, and the front tire also needed to be replaced. But also look at all of the hay string that has gotten stuck in here. So I've been trying to slowly get at it and pull it off, because that's not good for the bearings. Alright, so here we are. This is where the solar fence ends, and that is where the plug-in fence ends. Or, you know, jumps, right? And I've got this, you can't even see it. Got that handle in there, and I don't need that handle anymore, so I'm going to go ahead and just snip it. Believe it or not, these split bolts here are $10 each because they're special, because it can handle going between two different types of metal. The regular split bolts can be expensive too. They can be like $3 each, which is why I have some pretty weird wiring, because I was trying to save money. It's expensive to get the split bolts, but once again on Amazon I was able to get a bunch of split bolts for $50, like 25 for $50, yeah. So a little cheaper, but now I don't have to really worry about it. It never fails. The horses love taking off their fly masks, so I keep an eye out for these when I'm driving around out here. Also bell boots, so another thing I'll keep an eye out for. Got no place for this now, but I'll hold on to it just in case, and let's go ahead and get another split bolt, because I didn't realize I needed one back there, which is why I drove out there also, so I wouldn't have to walk back and forth, back and forth. I know, I really got to clean this up. I'm going to have to take another vacation day just to clean this up. But I'll do that in the fall when it's not hot in here. And also when we're not covered in little bee nests that are everywhere. Or I guess those are really yellow jackets, aren't they? My friend Tom gave me that. Never ends. So we got a lot of growth here on the fence line, right? And that is, like I told you, that's what was bringing down the voltage. And, you know, with my arm, it's going to take a while. Maybe with the smaller chainsaw. Maybe with lots of spraying in the springtime, I don't know. We'll get on it. But hopefully the new fences fixed some of this issue. One more to swap out here. And it's crazy just how expensive these little things are, aren't they? Because it adds up. I mean, you know, we're jumpering between 3 different lines at a 90-degree angle. I mean, that's 6 bolts. All done. So I made it a little bit tighter, just in case the thing is burnt out here, because you never can tell. That way the junction works correctly. All this looks poisonous, right? Oh, jeez. All right, let's do a fence line check before the heating guy shows up. Yeah, so I discovered this a couple of weeks ago. Tree came down, but luckily the fence line is fine. It's actually higher than the fence line. And we'll get somebody out here to chop it up during the winter. If you fixed everything here, you'd be bankrupt. So you just can't. You got to pick and choose your battles. So everything is fine. It's fine. But yeah, another expense. Yep. Let's get this bad boy back on. Throw away the little bit of trash. And let's get this fence back on. So I'm using an edging tool to kind of build a little trench for the wire. This way, when the guy comes to cut the grass, he's not going to pick up the wire accidentally. And the ground is actually going to pull it down anyway. That's just the way it works. Let's get that on nice and tight and in the ground here. Well, I didn't pass out, but I am very sweaty. And the AC guy's here, so let me go tend to that. Person just texted me they're not gonna have my tires back for like a whole week. They gotta order them special, I guess. Luckily we did shavings this weekend, so we can wait until next week. That'll give me time to try to clean up those hay strings that are there. But it also means I can't mow. There's the guy right now. Alright, doing the other fence, and you can see you just kind of push down to what you got, and in it goes. So, when you have the right tools, it's no trouble at all. Well, it's a little bit of trouble, but... I will come back and cut down these ground rods with the Sawzall, but other than that, we're done. I might put a little small PVC end cap, kind of push down on it just to sort of protect it, but it doesn't really need to be. Yeah. Alright, so this thing's running now. So we're gonna put it back to where it was. He said it was a low few pounds of coolant, so sweet. Alright people, it's probably gonna wrap it up. I'm sweaty, need a new shirt. I'm gonna go order lunch from the grill around the corner. Keep on with my accounting, which you don't need to see. I've already done a video on that. And say goodbye, Jim. Goodbye, Jim.
Goodbye.
What?